Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills and today I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Hello.
Cal Wing.
Hello.
And Sir Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Howdy. Full house.
Full house today. As always, guys, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us at Cookie Jar Golf on all of our social media channels. So, the women's major. Let's start with that one. Did you all watch it?
I must say, I didn't watch actually any full coverage of the golf this week, of the three events that were on, rather. But I caught up on some of the highlights at Aronimick. And yeah, what an absolute demolition job by Se-Young Kim.
How many did she win by in the end?
I think she won by 5, didn't she? Shot final round 63. Lowest of the day from what I could see, at least.
She absolutely
trounced the field.
She was
highly, highly impressive.
I actually sat down and watched the whole thing. I was enthralled. And at the start of the final round, I mean, she was being chased down by the group in front, which had Inbee Park in it. And obviously Inbee Park being probably the greatest women's major winner of recent times. And she was just absolutely hunting her down. And then Se-Young Kim, she's had a lot of top 10s and stuff, but no serious sort of winning pedigree. Just absolutely put the hammer down. I think it was like 7 birdies, no bogeys on that final round. It was it was a stripe fest.
I think, am I right in thinking she has got some form when it comes to just torching golf courses, though? Because I think she set the LPGA record in maybe 2017-18 for like the lowest 72-hole score, or something crazy like 31 under par or something. So she has got form of just going stupidly low out there. But to do it, as you say, to close out your first major with someone of the caliber of Inbee Park, right on your coattails is really impressive stuff, isn't it?
Well, I'm just looking at the scores across all 4 rounds, and I'm pretty sure 63 was the low round of the week, and that's what she shot in the final round, which, when you're on for your first major, is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Mm.
Sam, are you there?
I'm here.
We got any contributions, Cal? Sam?
I'm reflecting. I mean, I didn't see... So, I mean, a couple of observations. One, it's nice to see them played at decent venues as well. Aronimick, I've not played it, but is absolutely revered in the States. Probably one of Ross's best. I don't know. I mean, just, is watching the ladies' game more exciting at times than sometimes watching the men's? When you see them kind of dueling and coming down the stretch with a 63 to win, I don't know. Is it more entertaining at times than watching the men's game, where it can sometimes just feel very, very familiar? The bits I've caught of the LPGA this year have been generally pretty exciting golf to watch, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this one probably wasn't that exciting because she was just winning by so much, and it was from the get-go. I mean, the only people who shot low rounds of sort of 4, 5, 6 under had started from quite far back anyway. I think her playing partners... who, correct me if I'm wrong, was it Anna Norquist? Was she one of her playing partners?
Yeah, she dropped off on the final round.
They sort of dropped off. So actually, she ended up having quite a bit of breathing room, which doesn't take away from the fact, she blitzed the field. But yeah, I mean, for levels of excitement, I don't know whether, I mean, crowds, obviously, that they've been few and far between in the second half of 2020. So it's, I see what you mean.
Sounded like a one-horse race.
Entertaining.
Yeah, but it wasn't it wasn't wire to wire though. I mean, because of the way that the sky, it was airing the golf. I watched quite a lot of it this weekend, and it was all pretty competitive through 2 rounds, and then she just kind of pulled away in round 3, and then really put the hammer down on round 4. So it wasn't like it was wire to wire, and it was just like an absolute demolition job. It was a bit tit for tat, and then she just put the hammer down.
Why have we opened up with the ladies PGA then? If it was because I didn't, I'll confess I didn't watch much of it, so I saw big parts of it.
Well, because it's a major.
Well, on that point, without wanting to open up a can of worms, Golf Digest and a couple of other outlets recently, I think, just ran a piece about the pay gap and the disparity between the women's game and the men's game as far as purses are concerned. Se-Young Kim won $645,000 for the PGA, which is obviously a lot of money, but it pales into comparison, doesn't it, to what, say, Bryson won at the US Open, where he's probably won, I'm going to guess,
I think it was
$1.5 million.
Yeah, I think it was like between 1.6 and 2, probably.
Okay, where do we stand on that, guys? Where are you?
It's a lot of money, but given what's going on with TV and everything else, that's the sort of money that can be paid, really. Yes, it's a hell of a lot of money, and it's a big gap. But unfortunately, that's the way where the world is, especially on the commercial side. So,
I think you're in a situation, aren't you, where the money is ultimately funded through excessive TV rights, and golf tournaments are played Thursday to Sunday. So, begs the question: would you be able to get better TV rights and better TV coverage if the events weren't played over a typical Thursday to Sunday schedule? Because I actually think if you pay, at the moment, you couldn't really justify having the same prize purse for the ladies' events, given the fact that then CBS, NBC, Sky Sports, these guys all flick over to watch, the PGA at the men's tournament finish. I don't know, maybe doing some more co-sanctioned events. That's a kind of a good thread. I don't disagree with you, Bruce, that there should be more.
I mean, a good comparison will be the European Tour this week. I mean, the purse is significantly reduced on last week's event. I know that was a Rolex Series event and what have you, so that will be inflated. But this week, I think it's back to, I think the whole purse for this week is sort of just about €1 million, where last week it was sort of up to 7-ish, with Hatton taking home €950,000, I think it was. And
that was exactly my point, in that the women's PGA, that is a major championship in the women's game, and therefore one of the flagship events, obviously the event that all the best
still
players
good
in the world
money, I think. That's still,
but it's $1 million short of
for the
men
times, though. For the times, I mean, if COVID wasn't here, I think that might have been bigger. It'd be interesting to compare it to like last year's numbers and see where they were. If they were at the same level, then fair enough. But
okay, look at the Shriners, though, for instance.
Yeah, it's the PGA Tour, though. It's a different beast completely. And the gap is getting better. It is getting better. It is a subject that's out there and certainly being looked at, but it'll take time. And unfortunately, that's, as I said, that's just the way of the world.
But my opinion on this is, if you think about where the revenue comes from, ultimately, like Sam says, this comes from advertising revenue, which comes from supply and demand. And if you're going to have a PGA, essentially, I mean, there's time differences, so it's not entirely true. But if you're going to have the European Tour, the PGA, and the LPGA all on at the same time, then there's going to be competition for advertisers' money because it's all happening at the same time. Whereas if there's a little bit different with the European Tour and PGA because they obviously have the time difference. But if you're going to have the LPGA and the PGA, are they ever going to get as much money if they do the events at the exact same time? Probably not.
Yeah, but I think there should be. I agree with you, and that's just a straight up logistical problem. But the question is, like, let's if we were to leave Wentworth this past week out of it, because as you say, the time difference means it's not so much of a factor. You've got the Shriners, which is a decent sort of PGA Tour event, one that attracts, a pretty strong field, but certainly not the strongest field in the regular season. And the winner there is taking home $900K, and it's over in Vegas. Obviously, Aronimik and the PGA are over in Philly, so there's a little bit of a time difference. But I think, it would be nice to maybe see some parity in the purses as the years as we kind of go forward. But it's just how do you solve the issue, which is what Sam raised. It's like, it's a case of market forces and where's the demand.
They've still got to raise the cash, haven't they? So
don't function the events and end up getting the finishing day on a different day on the Sunday. It seems obvious enough to me. Like, golf tournaments don't have to finish on a Sunday. It's not essential, is it?
I think historically or traditionally it makes sense for them to finish on Sunday, and I also just guess with sort of fitting in with the weekends. But there are plenty of tournaments, as you say, that don't. Labor Day Monday being an example of, I think, one of the playoff events on the PGA Tour. Maybe it's also just a case of a trickle down effect, and if we can get more participation at grassroots level amongst young women and girls, that would prompt greater viewing of LPGA events, and maybe then you get a kind of closer purses. But it's a tricky issue, I guess, and I apologise for raising it. I know everyone found it. It's a bit of an awkward one to talk about, isn't it? Particularly in this day and age.
Tennis. It's it feels like that news headline's finished now, doesn't it? Tennis, and
they're pretty much at level par.
And that's why I raised the question of, is it sometimes more enjoyable? I know that the ladies PGA at the weekend's a bad example, but on the whole, it can be quite exciting to watch them play courses that don't need to be 7,800 yards, where it's slightly more relatable, the distances, where the ball's going, the shots, some of the kind of consistency as well, and also it's a closer bunch. So seeing people like Sophia Popov winning at Troon, for example, is a really good one. And that's where you see the same in tennis. Actually, watching women's tennis is a better watch than watching men's tennis, because it's not serve, serve, one return. You get a lot more rallying going, so sometimes it's a bit more back and forth. I think I will throw the point out there. I think the women's game has become pretty slow to watch, and I think it's noticeably slower than
I think that was commented on at the Women's British Open, wasn't it?
It's crazy slow, crazy slow.
I was on the watching the first round, and I was watching Danielle Kang, and she went through 3 under on the first round. She was co-leader at the end of round 1, but she was on about, I think it was on the second round. She was on a green, and I was watching it, and then I thought, I'm going to go make a cup of tea. So I went and made a cup of tea, boiled the kettle, popped the tea bag in, stirred it round, put some milk in, drained it, strained it, dropped the tea bag off, walked back into the thing. She was still lining up the same putt. I was like, this is fucking obscene. It's the same putt. Like, it must have been 2 minutes. She was
sure you didn't press pause?
No, man, it was the same putt. It was obscene. So it was, it was slow.
Midweek medal, 18th green, similar scenes.
It happens. If you're into
aim point, you've gone down that rabbit hole. You're absolutely stuffed, aren't you?
Aim point express is supposed to be fast.
Overall, it equals out.
Well, guys, if you keep stats, you don't have to worry about using aim point or anything like that.
Exactly.
Sorry, how does that make any sense whatsoever?
So I just knew I'd get a nibble.
How is recording stats versus the reading of a putt at all?
Here we go.
Are you saying if you keep better stats, you will read a putt better? You are off your rocker.
Someone's put 50p in him now.
That'll be next week's pod anyway. The art of putting.
So here's
take an aim at aim point. That's a terrible line. Have a go at aim point if you wish, but don't say reading your stats or being meticulous with your stats is going to speed up how long it takes to read putts.
Carl, as a neat segue, can I put a question to you? Would you rather play golf with someone whose aim pointing takes, I don't know, so let's give it a conservative number of 7 or 8 minutes over an 8-foot putt, or someone playing golf in a hoodie? It's one or the other.
I knew we were going to get onto this.
Let's address the elephant in the room. What do we all think of the hoodie?
Fucking sick sponsorship work from Adidas, wasn't it?
The guys are piling into trendy golf, I think, this week. But being brutally honest, I understand what they're trying to do. There's an element of growing the game and appealing to more people, but at the same time, it's just not. It's not for me. You're not going to see me rocking out with a hoodie. Save that for the gym or wherever else. But
I'm not a hater of it. I mean, I actually think so. I think it looks quite cool.
yeah,
If you're going to go down the pub, or if you're somewhere where it's allowed, there's a lot of golf clubs where you wear that though, and you're going to feel like a complete prat. So,
Do you think there's many golf clubs that people are going to go out now and buy this stuff because they've seen Tyrrell, and they're going to turn up to their golf club, and the golf club? Do you think the golf clubs will turn around and say no, or do you think they'll say yeah because it's been?
Oh yeah, I'm sure at many places it's fine, but it's just I don't know. It's just not. I can understand what they're trying to do, and as I said before, appeal to others and try and bring down a few barriers, but it's a hoodie.
But it puts the golf clubs in very difficult position, doesn't it? Because if someone turns up to a golf club in a hoodie now, and it might not be the exact same hoodie as the one Tyrrell wore that was supposed to be tailored for a golfer. It might be a different sort of hoodie, or maybe even just the same hoodie. But now you put the golf club in a position where do they say categorically not, you can't do that, it's not part of the dress code, or do you say the precedent's been set, let's go?
So to give you some sense of scale of demand on these things, Trendy Golf have an area on their webpage dedicated to hoodies, and there are some 50-odd options there to choose from just on golf hoodies. Now, people are therefore going out and buying these, and they are taking them out to play.
I think for the range, or municipal. Sorry, if I can get my words out. Sure, it works for a bit of like casual golf. Why not? I mean, hoodies are worn for training purposes, aren't they? Yeah. Football players, rugby players, gym, that sort of thing. For training, like working on your game, yeah, sure, fine. But for general like club wear, if you're playing competitive golf, it's caused a debate and a stir, hasn't it? So, difficult one.
I just don't really get the whole. I think it's a false dichotomy the way people talk about the dress code in golf, because they're like, overly strict dress codes are scaring people away from the game, and that's why we've got dwindling participation and a whole load of other sort of falsehoods that we get told. And actually, like I do think you can keep it as simple as golf clubs are private clubs. They can set their own rules on the dress code. And
I think it's fine.
There's a whole spectrum of golf clubs out there who can decide on regulations regarding the dress code that are appropriate for the place and the members who go and play there. And like for me, I agree with you, Cal. Like hoodie, I wouldn't wear that on a golf course. I also wouldn't wear high top trainers and the kind of like elasticated ankles that you get on some of the joggers that Ricky Fowler's been wearing, or the three stripe Adidas joggers that Matt Wallace wearing. Like to me, I just think if you enjoy wearing that stuff, that's cool. But the way I see a lot of global brands pushing it at the moment, it's almost like virtue signaling or just putting two fingers up to the golfing establishment for the sake of it. Like I don't think, golf is really suffering too much from an overly stuffy dress code. Like if you just join a club that kind of embodies the values and the dress sense that you like, really, I don't see the issue with it.
Spot on.
Agreed. Completely agree with that. It should be down to the club, and if the club is happy with it, then so be it. Other than that, it will be a personal thing. A lot of it going literally back to like basics here. So I'll just finish on this point. Ultimately, a lot of people aren't going to feel comfortable playing in a hoodie. I mean, restricting the swing, hoodie moving around at the top, potentially
totally unfunctional,
getting a bit awkward. So, I mean, fair play, actually, that Hatton felt comfortable playing in it, and it was working for his swing and everything else, but it just feels a little bit restrictive.
Without taking aim completely at Tyrrell, I mean, he's not the first to do something like this, just as you mentioned, Bruce. And don't forget, we had Tiger in that sort of turtleneck. There was hardly a turtleneck. It was just a fucking round top.
2006. That was good.
Do you think this was Tyrrell's choice, and he's gone to his sportswear maker and said, I want to wear a hoodie? Or do you think Adidas has come to him and said, we need to push hoodies, who's going to wear it.
So I saw several players that weekend wearing hoodies. So Adidas clearly had there is an element of science to this. If you're paying people $1 million or more a year to wear clothing on a golf course, then you are going to have some science behind it on what you're putting out there. Now we're going into the winter, therefore people are going to buy more warmer. Exactly, it's hardly rocket science, isn't it? So you're going to want to put some new warmest wardrobe stuff out there. I saw other Adidas players out there wearing them. When you see them out playing in colder climates in the States, you see the same thing. Yeah. Now clearly he could say, "I'm not wearing that," but pick your battles, and maybe he just wants to wear it because it looks cool. And I think the best point made is Bruce's. It's like, everyone waxes on about what is the right and wrong dress code for golf, and actually people just have to find what works for them, and I think kind of go with the flow. And if that doesn't work at the club that you want to be a member at, then that's probably a signal that it might not be the right club for you in many respects, and it works both ways, I think. So I'm probably not going to rush out and buy one tomorrow, but I think it's a cool look.
I certainly think on the whole it's an individual game.
Yeah.
People can do whatever they please. People wear 2 gloves. People can wear a hoodie. They can do whatever they want. If it works for them, great. So be it. And if they can wear it on the golf course, if it's permitted, then do as you please.
But the one overriding point with all of this is it has taken away, just like it has in the last 10 minutes, and that is entirely my own fault, too much airtime around what is a stellar victory for Tyrrell. He's had a first-class year, hasn't he? Absolutely top-draw year. Like, hats off to him. I know he's kind of not everyone's cup of tea, and he's got his own thing going on, and he's an intense guy out on the golf course. But, I sit there and think, fuck me, this guy's had a great year with a huge amount to contend with.
He's definitely rose to the top. And, it was pretty flawless golf. Even on Sunday, it was maybe a slightly slow start for the first 5 holes, and then as soon as he made his first birdie, I think even Radar even called it on the Sky Sports coverage. He goes, literally watch these birdies flow now," and it was like floodgates open. Then he was off.
He sort of was the reason that it was a pretty boring event, but I feel like that when you have boring events, it's generally because somebody's just taken it by the scruff of the neck, and Tyrrell's just absolutely dismantled the field. It's like he was playing a different course towards the end. He was the only one that was absolutely lights out there, and
Sullivan had a good final round as well. Victor Perez, fair play to him, he was pushing him.
It didn't. The leaderboard didn't suggest it was a whitewash, did it? I didn't catch all of it, but he's clearly played the best golf for the weekend. What I find really hard watching him is, even right in the top stage when he's playing in major championships, he seems to score really well. He gets it round. He's top 10 in the world golfer now. His swing doesn't look absolutely pure, does it? If I was sitting there and just wanting to kind of, watch a beautiful golf swing, there's a whole host of other pros I'd be watching. It doesn't look much better than a solid club golfer swing in many ways. And I know that's an outrageous thing for me to sit here and say as an armchair pundit, but am I the only one that watches it and just thinks it looks a little agricultural?
Cal, let's just sit back on this. Bruce, take over.
Oh, brilliant. Even after last week's humiliation, you're allowing me to do some analysis.
I'm asking this really towards you, Bruce. It's carte blanche.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair point, and a lot of well-known instructors out there would look at his swing and say, "There's a lot going on there, and it's not a swing I teach, and it's a swing that could probably cause a little bit of back problems or inconsistencies." And yet, at the same time, they would just admire the genius that he has in timing it at the bottom and repeating it over and over. He has got a very, very functional, repetitive movement, but he gets a lot. He comes out of posture quite a bit on the downswing. Like as he reaches the top of his backswing, he's coming down. It almost looks as if he's sort of tipping forward towards the ball. And certainly as he gets to delivery, close to impact, he's kind of coming onto his toes pretty hard, and his bum sort of tucking under him a bit more, like a sort of classic sort of early extension move. As you say, Sam, that you would see with club golfers. He probably doesn't maintain his angles and his tilts as well as some of the other great players in the game today. But the guy does it over and over again, and it's funny because you'd think maybe with a pattern like that he wouldn't drive the ball well, but no, really solid driver of the ball, hits fairways just for fun. I think it was Radar who said, like, he doesn't really have a weakness. And, you know, I must admit, when I first saw him come out on tour, I was like, this guy seems just a little bit odious. He seems pretty sort of difficult to take a liking to. And actually now I think it's quite funny to see him just be so brutally honest as a commentator on his own golf when he's out there. And, you know, I actually, like, I use that expression he has, or he was famously recorded saying, I think in a PGA Tour event at the start of the year. I use that in my own game several times, which is lovely strike. Shame it's 40 yards offline.
It's good. It's nice watching him chirp away.
No, he's honest, isn't it?
It's a great example for juniors, but it's highly relatable, I find. You know,
he's honest. He's just
as long as he's
though.
not burying his club into
gritty.
the ground, it's fine. I mean, he can. Is he really that different to Jordan Spieth, who is just a walking commentary on his own game as well? I think Tyrrell's just so brutally honest. It's just quite refreshing.
Yeah, well, to be fair, Bryson does it as well. So,
Oh, that's a good one. So whilst we're on Bryson, I want to get your boys' take on this. I'm all for speaking candidly to the cameras, but when you're not even playing in the same tournament as the guy, and he's just won the US Open, I'm not sure going out in front of the world's media and telling them. And Matt Fitzpatrick, by the way, has got a fantastic career. You know, he's a stellar guy.
Yeah,
he just went absolutely rogue and took dead aim on Bryson and basically said, the guy.
It was suicide. It was suicide.
It was absolutely outrageous. I don't know who's prepped him with that, but I don't know. Discuss.
Okay, for our listeners' benefit, who hasn't seen this quote, I'll just give it verbatim, and then we can go to task on it. To me, it is not a skill to put on 40 pounds and hit the ball 40 yards further as a consequence. He then goes on to talk about the only place he can compete with Bryson's is putting. So, if anybody can put on 40 pounds and put on 40 yards, it begs the question.
And keep flexibility and hit it that far and everything else.
And that's straight.
That is such a good skill in its own right.
Was it Tim Barter who was interviewing him? Because I think he had to jump out the way. There was just so much acid from the sour grapes coming out of Matt Fitzpatrick's mouth. He was just nearly burnt by it. Yeah, it's just bonkers to hear someone say something like that, because it, as you say, it just comes across as totally bitter and just really, really petty. Like, obviously it is quite an achievement, Matt, otherwise you would do it. Like, what
he said it was taken out of context, but I don't know in what context it's been.
It's hard to put that in context, isn't it?
You know what? To be fair, I think what's happened is, correct me if I'm wrong, Mills. It was said after his second round, he'd shot 65 with a double bogey on his last hole to lie joint leader after 2 rounds, and he's probably just fuming, isn't he, that he's double bogeyed his final hole and he could have had a 2-shot lead when he was going home to put his feet up on Friday afternoon as the weather turned, and instead he's had a pretty rank end to what was otherwise a really good round, and he's just taken dead aim at Bryson. That's the way I see it.
Well, he has taken dead aim, and it starts. I mean, the quote starts with, "I'm fed up seeing everyone talk about him. I'm not the longest off the tee, and so I'm a bit biased. But I drove brilliantly at Wingfoot and played pretty well generally, yet finished miles behind."
Sounded like he just wanted a pat on the back, but
I'm going to try and take a second run at this, because there's a couple of things here. One, Matt Fitzpatrick's won the US Amateur. That's something that only really, really good golfers tend to do. Bryson's also in that category, won it 2 years later than him. You must think that probably there's a level of mutual respect there for both winning that tournament, because, I don't know, that's kind of my initial steer on it. But I think the whole golfing industry has now become so obsessed with the distance debate. We've all fallen guilty of it. But even Twitter, it's just crazy amount of commentary on distance debate. It's like, okay, let's just give it a rest for 1 week. Every Sunday you load it up, we're on distance. And maybe a lot of the pros are kind of getting fed up. I mean, it wouldn't be remiss for Fitzpatrick to turn up in front of a media tent, talk to a press official or whatever, and then be told, what do you think about Bryson? It's like, well, Bryson's not even playing this tournament. Why are you even asking me about it? But, given you've riled me, I'll now have a bash back at it. I mean, it's very odd.
Yeah, and you know what, Sam? Like, I agree with what you say there. The golfing world's gone nuts. So one-dimensional how much everyone talks about distance. We're obviously not doing ourselves any favour by continuing to talk about distance now, but it is a hilarious soundbite, so we will carry on doing so. But you can take issue with how much everyone dedicates in the way of airtime to the distance debate and Bryson hitting the ball further and McIlroy then putting up his flight scope numbers to try and hit the ball further and DJ doing the same. That's fine. You can take issue with all of that. The problem really is when Matt Fitzpatrick says it's not a skill to put on 40 yards, because obviously that's just totally untrue. And I'll tell you what, it actually, to me, it almost smacks of like when Ben Hogan said towards the end of his career that putts should count as half strokes. It's like, have you fucking lost your mind, mate? That's an absolute, do you know what I mean?
And that's our soundbite.
And that's what I see here. But that's what I see here with Matt Fitzpatrick. It's like, yeah, it's annoying. We get it. People don't want to just keep, other pros don't want to hear about their colleagues and how well they're playing, how far they're hitting the ball. But don't say something fucking insane like it's not a skill to put on 40 yards, because clearly it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mic drop. There we go.
Bruce swallowed the serum this week. But I think there's a lot of sense getting spoken here. I think we're talking, consent, which is what the Cookie Jar Golf podcast is all about. I mean, there is wrong on both sides of the fence. It, all guns at Matt Fitzpatrick or all guns at the media or the USGA on distance report. The whole thing just seems out of kilter with where we should be focusing our attentions, and probably the same for that bloody hoodie stuff that we spent 15 minutes talking about as well. But it does show you the skew in where the attention tends to sit on these things, doesn't it?
Yeah, it needed to be said, but there we go. Moving on, and PGA Tour this week. Martin Laird back in the winner's circle after 7 years. Oh my
lord! Yeah, did you guys watch that one? I watched the highlights on Monday morning. I watched more golf with regards to this event than I normally do, and caught the highlights on Monday morning. What a finish that was! Did you see it, Sam?
No, not the finish.
The bunker shot hole for an eagle was just obscene.
Yeah, and it looked like
he's
sitting pretty. Yeah, it looks like he's sitting pretty.
Yeah,
I think he hits the 16th green in 2, so simple 2. Like he's putted the lights out all week. I think he's perennially near the top of the ball striking stats on the PGA Tour. So clearly just found something in the putter this week. Rolled the ball great the first 3 days and the 2/3 of the final round. Gets to the 16th and just leaves this. I mean, he leaves this 70-foot putt 30 feet short by the looks of things. Just doesn't even get it anywhere near the hole. 3 jabs it for par. Matt Wolff and Austin Cook, I think, are just staring down the barrel of birdies on 17 and 18, but they just slide by. Martin Laird gets up onto 17 and he's taking forever. You talk about making a cup of tea here, Mills. You could have cooked your dinner in the time that Martin Laird lined up this tee shot on the 17th. And he's just come out of this thing, hits like a 30-yard weak slap with a 6-iron, hit the cart path, gone into the rough, and he's had to hit this chip under several tiny little trees back towards the water, rolled in an 18-footer for par, then just almost shanked this 3-wood off the 18th, hit another big flare with his 4-iron, stubbed the chip. I'm being a little bit harsh, but adding some poetic license. Anyways, bogeyed the 18th, having been sitting pretty, and then goes and wins it on the second playoff hole. Just cans a 20-foot slider to beat Matthew Wolff and Austin Cook. I mean, looked for all the world like the momentum and the wind had just totally gone from Martin Laird's sails. And then, what an absolute redemption story that was. Fantastic to see him win after 2,700 days, I think, since his last tour win. And, he's got a young family now. Just an incredible story. But, some high drama for sure.
I mean, that's moved him from 351st in the world up to 88. That's pretty much guaranteed. The PGA card. That's a huge, huge payday for him. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the sort of line I was going to go down. It's obviously pretty early to say maybe Ryder Cup, but I don't know if he gets on.
Hang on.
Absolutely,
We've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. Yeah. That is basically. I mean, that's basically made a huge difference on his retirement.
Exactly. Yeah.
All that said, how old is he? I'm trying to just fish this information out.
He's got to be. I'm going to guess.
Not as old as you think, actually. No, not as old as you think.
I'm going to say 43. 42, 43.
No, you're way off there, mate. I'm pretty sure he's about 37.
No way.
It's not
37.
Yeah, 37. I'm
pretty
sure he's 37. Yeah, I think so. I checked it
You
out
think?
on Monday.
I reckon he's 43.
Yeah. Okay, can anyone fact check this, Sam?
Try.
Sam, you're usually the one who fact checks.
Well, I had to then, but I mean, at 37 years of age. Well done, Bruce. You're getting a sticker on your chart this week.
He's already got Wikipedia open.
It was the
that's
grey
thing.
hair that pushed me towards 43.
An extra Capri Sun in his lunchbox for him this week. So, 37, but goes from 351st to 88th in what is probably the winter months of his career now, if you look at it.
Yeah, well, you say that, but to be fair, even in that 7-year gap, I'm pretty sure he's.
I mean, come on.
No, that was
Sam Williams writing off people's golf careers.
That was
one tour player at a time.
That was tongue in cheek, but even in that 7-year
37
gap,
years old, you're dusted.
even in that 7-year gap, I think he still kept his card, so he still ticks along.
Yeah, he did.
Can I ask a pretty irrelevant, or well, relevant, but fairly uneducated question? Isn't he not eligible for the Ryder Cup team?
No, he's Scottish.
Scottish.
Yeah, but haven't you got to play a certain amount of European events?
You got to be a member of the European Tour, correct?
Which he's not. He does all PGA.
Yeah, no, he lives in Arizona, so he's not. So no, that's a good shout. So
he's got that kind of American twang. Actually,
we've fully shot him down
for so long.
He's got like a GMAC twang.
Yeah,
but you never know. He might do a Casey and think, I've got a shot. I'll join the European Tour.
Yeah,
he's also got very white teeth, I think.
Yeah, long way to go on that one. But fair play, what a fantastic win. Like you say, so easy to crumble like the biscuitman in those situations, isn't it? And to kind of hold on when everything else seems to be evaporating around you is pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah,
I just did see. Just flicking back to Bryson a little bit. I was on the phone to you, Sam, actually, and I watched Bryson hit a 300-yard par 4 with an iron, which I thought was quite ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a bit of elevation that was helping him up there, I think, wasn't there? So I don't
know. I literally just looked up and I just told him.
Did you also see him on the range? Did you see Bryson on the range? He was like 50 yards back from everyone else on the range. That player.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. It's unbelievable.
That's what we should do on the range. It's like that. It's like that. It's like when you stand there on a par 5, waiting for the green to clear, like stretching your back, going, I'm gonna, and then just top it down the fairway.
It was JT Poston was saying that he was like, Bryson was lining up. Literally, you see the video, and he's like 50 yards behind everyone else in the corner of the range, just sort of launching. And you've got sort of the equipment guys bringing shafts to their players and everything else, literally like ducking for cover as someone behind them is just like launching at miles. So apparently he's like clearing the end of the range, and wherever they were a week ago, something like the 8th hole of whichever course this was behind the range. And JT Poston was saying, we'd be out there when we were playing the 8th hole, approaching the green. We sort of get up to the fairway, sort of second cut, and we're just finding like bridgestones, like just in the rough, like scattered everywhere. And they're like, sorry guys, it's Bryson just like carrying the nets and basically pitching them on the 8th green. That's still 50 yards back.
I've never seen anything that lacks so much skill in all my life.
But it's not a skill, so.
Yeah.
So, any other business in terms of news from this week?
No, there's a bit of golfing news, and there we've got a few trips and plenty of golf lined up, I think, through what's left of the autumn months. Be remiss not to say.
Hoping to do a Scottish tour, aren't we?
Yeah.
Hoping to.
Provided lockdown measures permit, we've got an exciting array of golf courses coming up there.
Yeah, and of course, another big development. I know it's a little premature, but correct me if I'm wrong. Our new World Handicaps will be available to view from next Monday, I think. Is that correct?
Can you Can you actually go in and get your handicap before November?
Not
I think you can see what
yet.
it is. Oh, you can. Okay.
But from the 19th, which is Monday.
That's fake news.
From the 19th, Monday the 19th of October, as long as you have your CDH number, which you should be able to get from your clubs or from How Did I Do or Intelligent Golf or whatever system that you use, you should be able to access your new World Handicap. WHS handicap. It won't include, as I'm told from my sources, it will not include events that took place from the 5th of October onwards. But when they roll live on the 2nd of November, that will be included. So it's just a little bit of sort of legacy data being used to show you what you're going to be working at before you work at it.
I think that'll be exciting. I'm keen to, because I've tried to calculate it all sort of different ways using the online computers, my own crude measurements, all sorts of different ways. Praying's also been another thing I've used, which got me to scratch.
Anything you can do to get it down.
But
just get it down.
There's a massive spread on my numbers. I think I genuinely don't know within a shot where I'm going to be at. Like literally 1.0, I could be anything within that range.
I think I shot a 70 in 2011, so I'm trying to dig that out and get that into the system somehow.
Yeah.
trying to get yourself retroactively DQ'd for everything between 2011 and 2020.
Just realised I've been carrying 15 clubs for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Emailing junior open
I only
organisers.
counted like half strokes for putts. So.
I think as a fairly accurate consensus, we all think we're going down, don't we? Which I think is optimistic.
Hoping, but I mean, I don't know. They do say lower handicap golfers are more likely to come in, don't they? And I think kind of outside of single figures, you almost certainly will go up. But I mean, everything's caveated with these caps as well, as far as I understand. So I think you can't drift by huge numbers to begin with, and even if you start missing a few key rounds throughout play, you're not going to go up by like 2 shots overnight. It's all capped within certain parameters, I think, so the system's a bit more clever.
Yeah.
So I
think there's something called a soft cap and a hard cap.
That sounds right.
Where the soft cap is about 2 strokes, so you can fairly quickly move 2 strokes if something goes wrong or something goes really right, whichever way you look at it. But it's a little bit harder to move beyond that because I suppose, although it's a gentleman's game, someone might throw in a bunch of 200 over pars just to get their handicap up before club champ. So there's just that sort of built-in redundancy to kind of make sure that doesn't happen. But yeah, it's all going to be very, very interesting. So from the 19th, we can find out.
Fascinating. Well, not to you know how much I like anecdotes and not to scale too much, but I think it's loosely, the WHS is loosely based on the system that Australian golf has been using for some years, which I guess depending on how you look at it, it kind of rewards people who can go out and shoot lower rounds, but if you go out on and shoot a few high rounds, you can go out pretty quickly. And a few friends who play at New South Wales said that they had a guy there who joined off scratch who went up to 10 in 6 months.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But I think that says more about the difficulty of the course that you joined rather than how the system works. So we got that to look forward to. Anyway, it's going to be an exciting time. People heralding the WHS as like the best thing since sliced bread, aren't they? So
Charlie, you podding stood up now.
Yeah, it's a stand-up desk.
Okay,
it's a deep vein thrombosis thing. He's just wiggling his toes, doing his exercises.
Couple of lunges.
So I think that's all we've got time for this week, right? But next week is a video week. This week is not. So keep tuned for.
What are we releasing next week?
We can't tell, can we? That would be telling. But we've got a little spicy hot video coming at you.
As always, guys, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us at Cookie Jar Golf on all of our social media channels. And until then, I think we'll all see you next time.
Unlike, unfollow, and don't share. Thank you.
Adios.
Adios.
Goodbye.
This